The number one classic investment trap sabotaging your financial success: survivorship bias. Essentially letting survivorship bias drive your investment decisions to the point of dangerous overconfidence and inflated expectations. So, what is survivorship bias? It is a logical error that occurs when we focus only on people or things that have survived a process, while overlooking those that did not due to their lack of visibility. This leads to a distorted view of reality and many times devastating decision making. Let me give you a classic example of this that occurred during World War II. During World War II, the US military had a problem. They were losing too many bombers over the enemy territory. So what did they do? They brought in a team of experts to figure out where to add armor plating to better protect their planes. These experts looked at all the bombers returning from their missions and carefully noted where they had taken the most damage, meaning the wings, tail, and body of the aircraft. So the obvious solution seemed clear: reinforce those heavily damaged areas with more armor. But one expert, Abraham Wade, saw a critical flaw in this thinking. He realized that they were only looking at the planes that had made it back home. What about all the other bombers that got shot down and never returned? Wade's brilliant insight was that the areas showing damage on the returning planes were actually places where a plane could take a hit and still survive. The real problem areas, the ones that needed armor, were the spots showing no damage on the surviving planes, because those were likely the fatal hit zones on the aircraft that didn't make it back. This is survivorship bias in action, focusing only on the survivors while completely ignoring the failures that are no longer visible. And the financial industry loves to use this bias to completely distort our view of their fund performance all the time. When you look at mutual fund performance data, you're typically only seeing the funds that are still operating today. But what about all the underperformers that got quietly shut down or merged away? Nowhere in sight, right? The financial institutions do not want you to see them. They're intentionally hiding them because if they were to show you the whole data set, it would show to the world that they're actually pitifully horrible fund managers, and they would go out of business overnight. Thus, they direct you to focus only on their stunning investment success rate that is derived from their survivors. So next time you see some headline-grabbing success stories of this fund or this security, remember, you're only seeing what they want you to see. You're not seeing the full picture, the comprehensive sample of other funds that it started with. The advice business is a monopoly run by survivors. When something becomes a non-survivor, it is either completely eliminated or whatever voice it has is muted to zero. The number two classic investment trap: sabotaging your financial success. Blindly trusting financial advisors. I get it. You are a busy professional. Additionally, all this talk about investing in money is probably making your head spin. Thus, the natural inclination is to hire the problem away. I mean, we do it all the time in other areas of our life, right? I don't want to cook, so I use DoorDash. I don't want to drive, so I call an Uber. So in the same way, I don't want to manage my own money, so I can hire a financial advisor, right? But I say, be very, very careful. While the cost of ordering the wrong takeout or getting a crappy Uber might cost a few extra dollars, the cost of hiring the wrong financial advisor can literally destroy decades of your life. Let me give you a real life example. In spring 2008, Paul and Sue Rusnow of Waseca, Minnesota won a $60 million after taxes Powerball jackpot. However, unlike many other individuals who automatically blow their winnings on mansions and sports cars, this couple did the unthinkable. They decided to put nearly half their winnings, $26.4 million, into a nonprofit foundation to help children suffering from a rare disease called crab disease. Their granddaughter Micaiah had died 5 years earlier from that rare disease, and they wanted to be part of preventing it from happening to other kids if possible. However, because they were inexperienced investors, they did what seemed like the responsible thing. They hired a professional. Specifically, Mr. John Prebe, a local insurance agent who worked for Principal Securities. To them, he seemed trustworthy. Additionally, he was local, and he promised to help them manage both their personal wealth and their foundation's money. However, red flags started to pop off when just within weeks of their lottery win, this agent was flying Paul and Soon around on a private jet to Principal's headquarters, where they essentially met with the senior management and everybody but the janitor. That in itself should have shown that this firm was not the best managers with their money. But unfortunately, Paul and Sue didn't know better, so they kept going. And do you know what happened with their money? Apparently, this insurance agent decided to put $18.9 million into a variable annuity and earn himself a $1.2 million commission in the process. But it doesn't stop there. He charged an additional foundation annual fee of 2% and carried commissions that could exceed 6%. Over the years, total commissions alone reached $3.3 million. But what is worse is that the performance of the investment was abysmal. Over the 6 years, while the stock market more than doubled, Preep's investment actually lost $2 million of the foundation's money. What is most sickening is that this money was supposed to be used to help families with sick children. Instead, it was disappearing into pockets of these insurance brokers and financial institutions. I know, this is an extreme example of how bad financial advisors can be, but a degree of it is still happening all around us. And it could happen to you if you're not careful. Understand that the financial services industry is full of people who call themselves advisors, but are really just salespeople in disguise. They make their money by selling you expensive, complicated financial products, not by helping you get rich. Wall Street is the only place that people ride to in a Rolls Royce to get advice from those who take the subway. Before we get into the next classic investment trap, sabotaging your success, let me talk to you about a really exciting offer. As you're watching this video, do you wish you can take your wealth building journey to the next level? Do you wish you can join a community, a real community where you can work with me one-on-one to not only better master money, but to simplify and systematize your finances so you can secure your family's financial future? Well, you're in luck, my friend. Introducing the Financial Tortoise community, and it is now open for waitlist signups. Inside the community, you'll find a proven and structured path to building lasting wealth designed specifically for busy professionals who want steady, sustainable growth without the hype or unnecessary complexity. Exactly the stuff I talk about in this channel. The Financial Tortoise community includes personal one-on-one coaching sessions with me, where we'll address your specific financial questions and create a personalized plan aligned with your goals. Step-by-step member-exclusive courses on everything from developing the right money mindset to designing your ideal investment portfolio to minimizing taxes. Monthly live Q&A calls where we dive deep into key topics and keep you accountable. A private forum connecting you with other hardworking professionals on the same wealth-building journey as you. Practical tools, templates, and resources that simplify your financial decision-making. And I'm especially excited to offer members a complimentary subscription to Monarch Money, a powerful financial tracking tool that helps you organize your accounts, track spending, and visualize your progress all in one place. This alone represents significant value, but it is just one of the many resources you'll gain access to. However, to maintain the quality of support each member receives, I only open enrollment a few times a year. So join the waitlist today at financialtortoise.com/community to be first in line when doors open next. Plus, a special bonus for joining the waitlist today, you'll receive a free special gift delivered straight to your inbox automatically just for signing up. Remember, real sustainable wealth is not built overnight. It is created through slow, consistent effort that compounds over time. Exactly what we focus on inside the community. Many members have completely transformed their financial lives, and with the right guidance and clear plan, you can too. You deserve it. I would love to see you inside. Alright, with that said, let's get back to the video. The number 3 classic investment trap, sabotaging your financial success. Chasing outcome, not process. So what is the difference between outcome and process? Process is your methodology, the systematic approach you use to make investment decisions. It is your playbook, your discipline, and consistency. Outcome is just a result. Who won or lost, what went up or down. And at times, outcome can be based on skill and intelligence, but at other times, they can be based on pure luck or random chance. That is the problem with being overly outcome focused, not process. I'm sure we all have a friend or two like this. Someone who constantly changes their investment strategy based on whatever is performing well. Tech stocks are the future. Look at Tesla, up 700%. I'm putting everything into growth stocks. Crypto is where the real money is. Bitcoin has $69,000. I'm selling my tech stocks and going all in on crypto. Forget crypto. It's all about oil and energy now. Oil companies are printing money with these high prices. Gold is having an amazing year. It's up 27%. Time to move everything into precious metals. Sounds familiar? This person is always chasing whatever just had the best outcome, jumping from one hot investment to the next. They're constantly buying high right after something has already had its big run, and then panic selling when it starts to cool off. They just can't help themselves from constantly moving money around because they're so fixated on the outcome. How is this investment performing? How has it performed in the past? How will it perform going forward? Now contrast that with someone who focuses on the process. They invest a fixed amount every month into a diversified portfolio, regardless of what's hot or what's crashing. They rebalance once a year. They don't read the financial news for investment ideas. They focus on the process of investing their money, not the outcome. And do you know what normally happens? The outcome takes care of itself. This person has and will find themselves as a multimillionaire one day because they focus on the process, not the outcome. So next time you hear or read about some stunning performance of some investment, take it with a grain of salt. The chances are it will be replaced by something else very quickly. Take care of the process and the results will take care of themselves. The number 4 classic investment trap, sabotaging your financial success. Chasing risk-free return. essentially not recognizing that in the world of investing, risk and reward are closely related. We all want maximum upside and minimal downside, right? We want to reap the greatest reward with minimal risk. I mean, who doesn't want that? However, the truth is that such a dynamic does not exist, especially in the world of investing. If you want to reap the reward of appreciation and income, you have to be willing to pay the price for it, and in the form of risk-taking. But here's where greed makes people lose all common sense. Too many people lack the patience to get rich slowly, so they fall for schemes that promise the impossible. Lottery-like gains with zero risk. In 2022, authorities uncovered a massive fraud in Las Vegas that was targeting the members of the Mormon community. The scammer, led by a guy named Matthew Beasley, were promising investors something that should have made everyone's alarm bells go off immediately. He and his associates claimed they could deliver nearly risk-free annual returns of 50% by lending money to slip and fall victims who were waiting for their lawsuit settlement checks. Think about that for a second. 50% returns, risk-free. Now, that statement itself should have been a red flag. If you just put your greed aside for a minute and did some basic math, you would have figured out that such statements were akin to finding a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. However, people's greed made them blind to these obvious warning signs. They heard 50% returns and risk-free in the same sentence, and their brains churned off. And many people paid dearly for not understanding that reward and risk go hand in hand. This Ponzi scheme ultimately defrauded investors out of hundreds of millions of dollars. We're talking about life savings, retirement funds, college money for kids, all gone. Some victims lost their homes, others had to come out of retirement and go back to work in their 70s. Understand that if someone is promising you guaranteed high returns with no risk, they're either lying to you or lying to themselves. If you want to build real wealth, accept the fact that it comes with real risk. But if you're wise with the type of risk you're willing to take, and you're patient, most often you'll be handsomely rewarded at the end. Greed makes people confuse risk-free returns with return-free risks. The number 5 and final classic investment trap, sabotaging your financial success. Failing to appreciate diversification. So in the line of taking risk, how do we take wise risk? How can we manage and mitigate this risk? The greatest single weapon? Through diversification. But here's where I see people making big mistakes all the time. They understand they need to take risk in order to build wealth. But then they go out and put all their eggs in one basket. They fall in love with one sector, or worse, one stock. Let me share with you a classic example. I'm going to make a bet that if you were to go through all your home appliances right now, you'll find at least one product that was made by this one company, General Electric. Now, why am I so confident about this? It's because General Electric is not just any company. As one of the original 12 companies listed on the Dow Jones Industrial Average back in 1896, it was at one point the bellwether for the entire US economy. Thus, for many decades, it was considered one of the safest, most reliable investments you can make. However, where is GE today? While it's still around, it is not the giant that it once was. At its peak around August 2000, GE was worth about $600 billion. Today, the company has been broken into 3 separate parts worth about $200 billion combined. That is almost a 70% loss over more than 2 decades. But this is not anything new. The graveyard is full of once mighty companies. Sears, Kodak, Blockbusters, Nokia, Toys R Us, BlackBerry, Polaroid, Pan Am, Borders, the list goes on. And this is natural. Just as trees have life cycles, whether we like to accept it or not, companies do as well. Companies are born, they grow, they mature, they decline, and they die. The chances are our great-grandkids will probably laugh at our reverence we show today for companies like Apple, Amazon, and Google, because if history teaches us anything, no company stays on top forever. Thus, if we truly want to succeed in investing, we have to accept diversification, appreciate diversification, embrace diversification. We have to spread our risk across different companies, sectors, countries, and asset classes, and not put a big portion of our wealth in any single stock, regardless of how much we love them or believe in them. Yes, diversification means you'll never make an enormous amount of money off the next unicorn company that launches to the moon. But you'll also not be an investor who lost half of all your retirement because you put all your faith in one company. The idea that a few stocks can make you rich is seductive, but diversification is what keeps you rich. Thank you guys for watching the theme of investing wisely. If you want to learn what I consider the world's simplest and boringest investment strategy that actually works, please check out my video here. Until next time, all the best.